What's up, my fellow creatives? I am doing a few live sessions to show you all how to edit these templates. These template orders are coming in. I'm so excited to be able to offer some tools that will allow you to work more efficiently and have some bomb designs. So without further ado, let's get into it. This one is a highly requested one. It is any family member name that you want to put here, title you want to put here, we can place that in. And let me go ahead and make me a new layer here so y'all can see a background color. We'll just do white. And where the gradient is, that's my paint bucket. Whoa, I'm supposed to be painting. Oh, I did paint a full layer. Let me paint that in one more time. And then I'm just going to drop it below this group right here. Because the group has a little fade off on it. All right. Let's see. We have a place to edit the name, and we got a few photos that we can bring in. And then what I'm going to do at the very end of the session is use one of our all over templates to show you how to go from doing a straight 13 by 19 and then throwing it into one of our all over prints. So let's grab that one. We'll grab our grunge all over as well. And while that's opening up, I'm going to go ahead and get my images together, and we're actually going to go ahead and see if Remove BG will remove the backgrounds in real time. I'm going to be checking my chat to see if anybody's logged in has any questions in real time on these templates. That way I figure that would help you out too if other people have the same questions. Hey, my sis is here and Rona's here. How y'all doing? All right, so Karita, you might be able to do something with this one, especially on your hard substrates. So we're going to show them how to take a 13 by 19 design and pretty much make their own all over. As long as they have one all over template, they can pretty much modify it from there. So let's go into, I forget whose art we're doing today. So matter of fact, I'm sure she'll remind me. We're going to do, with this one, we're also going to do a graduation stole and a graduation cap as well. So first, let's go to remove.bg. If y'all need to know how to cut out images, if it will cut out clean, then we won't be manually cutting anything. But if it does not cut out clean, then what we'll be using is the pen tool more than likely to do our manual cut. But I'm trying to show y'all in real time how quick you can use these templates and get into designing and get something out to a customer as quickly as possible. Let's go ahead to remove background. I'm logged in. I'm going to drag photo number 1 in. And let's make sure everything cleans up well. Looks like it removed some of our legs down here, but I don't think we're going to be using that much in the image anyway, so I'm not going to bother to mess with that. Next one, let's drag it in. Number 2. Looks good. And number 3. Looks good. Let's go ahead and download those. And I want to put them in my special folder for you all so that if you all want these PNGs, oh duh, they'll be a part of the image. So we'll keep it in the same place. And it will put the remove BG at the back end of it, so you'll know that that's your PNG version of it. So we have number 3 downloaded. Let's download number 2. And these aren't the highest resolution of images, but these are still like really good images. Like for professional photographer took these, so at least we have that much. They are screenshots though, I can tell just because of the resolution. But I'm using my credit so I can get the best resolution out of these. And like I said, I'm not going to use this area down here anyway, so I'm okay with it having that that missing area on her legs. I could build it back in if I wanted to with the brush tool. We'll save that. And we'll go back to our template. So the objective of this template is to bring in a photo, and I'm just going to bring in one photo. The other photos we'll pull into our all over template. So we'll have a 13 by 19 version of the design, and then we'll have an all over version of it. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and drag in our main image. And I'm going to use the graduation cap photo. We'll pull that in, and it's already cut out, so I won't have any problem with having to do like I did before, which was create a clipping mask. And I just did Control T to transform the size of it. And we may have to bring it down just a little bit so you see more detail with her holding the diploma. And it says the name of the high school on there. So that may be relevant. So let's go ahead and hide our previous image. And now the goal is to take these colors, and what's cool is they already use gold, so we'll be changing this to a blue and gold design, and of course we'll change the name on here. So I'm going to copy and paste her name first and foremost, so I make sure I don't put the wrong name on here. And in Photoshop, what I love is that I can right click. It'll tell me what I'm clicking on. I can double click on that layer and change the text there. Now what I have going on right now is pretty much a purple and gold theme. So what we're going to do is figure out which blue we want to use, and let's do it on the mom because we'll be able to see better there. I can double click on the FX without expanding all the effects, and I see that I have a gradient overlay. Now what I can do to change my gradient overlay is I can manually make a gradient overlay, or I can choose to do a color overlay. Let's do that. And then I'll make the color overlay color the gradient overlay underneath it. So for the color overlay, instead of gray, which was what it chose default, I'm going to choose a blue in the image just to see what it chooses, how it looks, and how I might modify it. You want to stay clear of any purplish blue. See how close it still looks blue on the screen, but I'm getting closer to that purple. I'm going to intentionally steer away from any type of blue that looks like it's purple at all. And I'm manually selecting a blue because I want a really clean popping blue, and this blue here on the diploma is a little dull, but it's still blue. And then the blue on the ribbon is probably closest to what I would want to select. So if I want to keep this hex number, I can come down here and copy that. That way when I modify anything else with that blue color, for instance, the of A has an effect on it. Let's go ahead and do a color overlay. And obviously when you get this template, all the edits that I'm doing to it right now will be in there. So you'll actually have this color overlay already on there. So all you have to do is go in and change the hex numbers. Let's see, we got graduate. Let's grab that. Double click. And you don't have to just use this for this intended purpose. You can use the effects and everything here to change up the words and say whatever you want to say. Let's do another color overlay. And this one is supposed to choose color. And I think the same thing for of A. I wanted to choose color just so that if I have one of these striking gradients in there, it will show up. Now you also have the option, I'll move this to the side so you can see, if you don't like, some people like a more a smoother gradient rather than this harsh line gradient. This is supposed to make it look kind of like it's glass or something. If you want a smoother gradient, cool, go in here, change your gradient, turn off the previous one, and make this one a smoother transition. And in fact, that one was for the of A, so you're not really going to see it. Let me try that with the mom. Double click there, and let me show you what it looks like with a smoother gradient. I'll add a gradient. It's going to add the exact same gradient, and then when I modify it, I'll remove that gray. And then you see this little diamond right here, that's showing how stark that contrast is between the first and the next color and how soon that contrast starts. So if you put it in the middle between the two color stops, it makes it a lot more of an easier, softer transition. So that softer transition will be there for mom. But for instance, I like the hard transition, and I think it goes with how the gold has a hard transition as well. Alright, so that is pretty much it. If you wanted to change the color of the gold, you're absolutely able to do that as well. Let's say you wanted more of the yellow gold, or maybe you want to make that Vegas gold or silver, anything else. Let's go into our effects. And right now there is a color overlay and it's on multiply. We can do another color overlay. And this time let's make it color. And let's choose the gray color. And we can bring the opacity all the way up. And of course we would have to change our stroke and the other things that have the gold in there too, unless you like that look. So kind of mixing the silver with the gold. But you have all kind of options. All you do is go into the layer style and play with changing your colors here. And we could even change this to the color that's showing in her ribbon there. And you see it's more of, almost more of an orange color there. And I think they call that like old athletic gold. So maybe you want to give it that old athletic gold look. And I'm just going to keep it with the traditional gold because I really like the way that that looks. If you want to go in and change that, that is absolutely your prerogative. Let's go in for the name Iandra, I think is what it is. It's a pretty name. Let's do a change for the effects. And of course it was purple, so we're going to make that blue. And we'll do that with the, it's got the gradient overlay. Let's go ahead and add a color overlay. We'll change that color. Hopefully I saved my hex code. There we go. So now we've got all the same blues all across the board. And for that color overlay, I'm going to put it as color. So it will color the gradient underneath it. And that's it. As a matter of fact, I think it did cut her tassel off. So I'm going to have to go back to This is a beautiful thing about Remove BG. It's still in here. It did absolutely cut her tassel off. So let's go to edit this one. And you can edit it in Remove BG, but what I'm more than likely going to do is zoom in a little bit. I'm going to add it back and I'll probably clean it up in Photoshop. So instead of erase, I'm going to go to restore. My brush size is set so that if I come down here, I can see what I'm adding. I did like that it did a good job of cutting out her hair. However, if it didn't get the tassel, then it's not worth the hassle. All right, so I could go back in here with this tool and try to erase some more. I just find it that this tool is not very efficient when it comes to erasing unless you're using a tablet or some type of stylus. Using the mouse, it does not come out clean enough for me. So here's an example of how we can use a hybrid of the cutout method. So I would end up downloading this one. And we'll still bring it in the same way. I'm just going to show you how you might clean this one up. So we're going to end up using that dreaded pen tool anyhow. So I brought her in here. Go ahead and pull her all the way to the front so that you can see what's going on without any interference. I'm going to turn off the back photo. Matter of fact, I might as well go ahead and delete it because we don't need it. And I will use the pen tool here. And we're just going to use the pen tool to create a shape that will remove the background of just this area that we don't want. And then what we'll do is use that to create a selection that will kind of feather maybe a couple of pixels just to match the current feathering. Now I am clicking and dragging. I'm using my space bar in order to give me my handle. I use a space bar, I'm sorry, in order to allow me to pan and move around the artboard without moving my tool. And I'm clicking and dragging so that I get a good curve. Now where I want a straight line, I could click, you know, just straight up, and it will give me a very straight corner. And I want to be careful to not remove parts of the hair that's already been feathered off and it looks nice. So I can create a selection here and it's asking me, what do I want to feather my radius? It really depends on how large your image was to begin with. So let's say 4 pixels. Let's see what it looks like. If I delete, of course, I have to rasterize the layer in order to delete pixels. Oh, it's got the inverse selected. So let's do select, inverse. That was my bad because while I was creating the path, I should have been on new layer. And instead I was on subtract from front shape. And it looks like that the 5 pixels or 4 pixels, whatever we chose, was a little too harsh. So let me show you. Let me go back. So instead of this one, I really should have been on new layer or combine shapes is fine, but I should not have been on subtract. So let's do selection again, and this time let's choose just 2 pixels. And again, let's rasterize the layer so we can edit it. And now we have the tassel in there. Perfect. We can drag our beautiful subject to the bottom layer now. And you see that there is a mask on this layer. As a matter of fact, let's just drag her above this layer. Let's make her a new mask. Let's do a new mask, and then we'll take our brush let's bring the size down. And I like the brush to give me enough softness to where it fades off, but not so much that it removes too much detail. And I'm painting with black. If you notice here, that hard line is disappearing from the bottom there. And that's all I need to do. That is pretty much ready to go. You might want to, as a matter of fact, let me take all of our text here. And I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit. Everything except for the photo. Let's transform it down just a little bit. And then this also reminds me that we need to change the color of the graduation cap. So that looks good to me. And if you didn't need to get details here, if you had a smaller picture, you can make your words bigger. But I think that looks great there. You can interchange the words. I also have aunt in here too. You can change that. Or you can just leave the mom there, and for each file you just double click on the text and change out the words. So you can type aunt, dad, nana, whatever you want to put in there. Alright, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to go ahead and put a name down here too. Oh yeah, we got to change, of course, graduation cap. Now if I don't remember what blue I use, let me go back to mom. I go back to my effects. And let's grab our color overlay color. Copy that hex code, say OK. And let's go to our effects of this layer. There's already color overlay on here, and it's on color. Do that normal color overlay. Let's choose blue color now, or you know what, let me add that as a color overlay. Turn that one off. That way we keep the purple that goes with the original image. So we have a purple version and a blue version already built in, and then anything else you want to use you can change. So that's it. So what I would do for this one is go ahead and you could save it as a PNG. This way you would have a version, so you might want to call this one mom. And y'all forgive my long file names. You already know I do that on purpose so that I can find them later in life. But definitely when you're downloading these, if you need to reduce the file name to make it to where you can download and unzip these things, by all means do that. So now we can come over to our Grunge graduation template. We can turn off the photos that are already on here. And this one is Hialeah Miami Lakes. Let's see if they have a school logo. I should just look that up first. Hialeah Miami Lakes logo. So I guess they are Trojans, and instead of looking it up by logo, because most people aren't going to save it by logo, I'm going to look up Trojans. And see if I come up with a good logo. If not, you know me, I will find my own logo and make something up before I use anything really low quality. Let's do large. Yeah, I'm not liking the logos that come up here. So I will just pretend that one of the logos that I find will be the logos for the school. Trojan logos are just not what's up. I usually think, you know, mascot images are really invoking of emotion and graphics, and I guess, you know, we deal with what we can deal with. Let's see if we download this transparent clip art, if we don't get any type of virus or whatnot, trying to make a video. I'm gonna check in with y'all, see if y'all have any questions for me while this is downloading. Hey Sharon, yeah, this would be a great design for fans. As a matter of fact, you could kind of take that whole PNG, and while that's downloaded, let me show you. I don't know if I have too much shadow and stuff going on. You would definitely have to turn your shadows off if you're going to make this a PNG, but real quick, you can select everything. Let's group it. I'm just going to throw a stroke on everything just to show you. Let's do opacity 100%. Bam, now you got a fan design. Like I said, I would probably have to take off my drop shadows because that's what's making it so thick around there, but you could create it like this, and then in your cut program, I'm assuming you're going to cut it out. You can cut out the outline of it. I don't know if that's helpful at all, but I think I like y'all on my template how-to sessions, because you actually help me show how it can be helpful for other people. Oh, the gradient bar looks purple, Rona, because it is. I have a layer on top of it that has a color effect that is applying to the purple gradient. So if I were to, let me ungroup this stuff. Let me undo what I just did. So for mom, for instance, I think that's a good question. I have the color overlay and I have a gradient. So if I turn the color overlay off, you see the original purple shows back. And that's just because that's the original gradient that I have on there. If I use the color overlay, what it does is it takes any color that's underneath that, it uses them as a value, like basically gray tones. And then it applies whatever color I want on top of that, applying it as if it were gray tones underneath and not purple underneath. So thereby I get to keep my blue, I get to keep my gradient style, and I don't have to change that to black and white. Does that make sense, Rona? Yes, the gold effect, I think you'll really love it, and you can use it on other projects. So you can take this text and drag it into another file, and it'll have that same type of gold look to it. The pattern will save, all of that data will save with that text. So you don't have to just use these effects from one file. Definitely take advantage. Anytime I give you like special effects in a file, take advantage of those special effects and use them elsewhere. All right, so I was trying to see if anyone else had any questions on doing this type of template. So let's go on and pull this into our all over design. So again, we said we were going to edit this logo. I'm going to double click on the logo, turn that logo off. Hopefully, did my logo download? Let me see where the Trojan file went. That's not the Trojan file. I guess it never downloaded. Oh, it's telling me just now to download it? I don't know. Yeah, we finna see. Okay. Let's check it out. Yeah, if my computer blows up, y'all know I did it out of love. All right. And I personally would vector that, you know, just so I would have it for the future. But for the sake of showing you changing out the templates, you wouldn't have to do all that. So let's drag that in. And of course, we don't need this for the logo. I'm going to drag it right from my browser into my smart object. And it even has the white outline on there, which is cool because it'll make it stand out. Just going to make sure I'm not clipping anything off. So when I close this out, now here's a lot of people had questions about smart objects. So here's the thing. I usually close it out, just say okay. And I think that y'all aren't, some of you aren't getting what it's doing when I'm saying okay. So I'm going to do it this way. File, save. What I'm doing is I'm saving the new contents of the smart object. So my old object is hidden, right? My new object now appears. So you see that, and also I have a larger version of the logo. If you see it right here, it's a smart object, so it updated that object as well. So the only thing that I have to do now is change out my gradient, which what I'll do, oh yeah, the school colors. Wait a minute, did those school colors just happen to be blue and gold? I am the junk and I didn't even know it. I thought I was gonna have to change the colors of the school logo. I didn't even pay attention. So like we said, if this is done, I'm gonna go ahead and close this out and save it. So now all I will have to do is pull in. I can file place. You can place link or place embedded. I place embedded because if you ever move that file and it tries to link it and it doesn't know where you put it, you might be into a little trouble there. So let's sort by date so I can see what is most recent. And it might take that a little while because it's operating off of the drive. My Google is drive. Sort by date modified. And that's taking too long for me. So I'm going to drag it straight from my folder. And I have this PNG ready. I'm going to drop it like it's hot. Bam! We almost already have an all over design. Now I'm going to hide the text for the senior 2020. We don't need it. We already have some text going on here. I'm even going to move my little Innate Lab tag. I just put that on there so that if anybody needs to know how to spell Innate Lab, it's on the screen the whole time. Alright, and where it dragged my image is not necessarily to the top, so I am going to find my PNG. I'm going to drag it above all else. And then at this point in time, we did have some additional images. Let me show you how we could drag those in. So let's say you wanted to fill this design out a little bit more with more photos because it is now an all over design and it is your prerogative. We're going to come back to, we had our volleyball and our casual portrait. Drag those right on in. Bam, bam. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put them on my artboard just so that they're not on top of my art. And then I'm going to go ahead and change this background color. So this is our original Grunge gradient graduation template. All I'm going to do is change out these colors. You see what the gradient already was. So I can come in here and change my color stops. Color stop number 2. I saved it. So that hex number is still there. I can keep all my colors consistent if I do that. Now for this one, I might choose a darker blue rather than the standard blue, just so that my gradient has something to fade from and to. Same thing here. I might take that same one, and if I click somewhere else on the line, it duplicates that color stop. So instead of redoing that color stop, I can just duplicate it, delete the other one, and I have a whole new design. And that's what the templates are for, guys. That's what I want you to understand. You have the power to design. The templates are just guides. So this is all your creativity coming to life. The way that you see images, the way you're putting them together is your deal. I'm going to rotate. Now that I see how this mascot fits in our design, I might rotate them a little more so that I'm getting a part of the image that I actually want to see. So maybe the silhouette of the face is a little more important to me. I might do something to make it apparent. There we go. And I see the helmet there, and I still have the main image. Then I have my watermarked image. I still have the graduation hands, and it's a whole new school, whole new subject. Now at this point in time, you can add your additional subjects into the mix, or you could keep it. Like, for instance, that is a design. That's it. You don't have to go further than that. Of course, if you're anything like me, you probably will. So we can take these images and layer them like this one. Other thing is, let's make sure that we are staying, and because you know, we get loose on these all over shirt designs, and we need to keep in mind that our best area is going to be within this dash line here, to make sure we're not cutting off anything really important. So even with this design, although I made it really big, I'm going to reduce it down. I don't want to lose any of that text if I do this on a small shirt, because chances are you're going to have some adult smalls, as well as, you know, maybe even up to some adult 4Xs. And this template, if you use it right, will fit all of those sizes. And I'm going to do Control T just to transform my size here. And I was holding down Shift, and I shouldn't have been. So as long as I have her face, the majority of her face inside of this rectangle, I'm not worried about the rest of this hanging off. I'm really okay with that. Now let's take this image here. Right click. Let's see what we're clicking on. It's image 2. Bring it down. And y'all already know I'm going to do some fade offs or something. But I'm going to make it look like she's kind of leaning up against that graduate. Again, I'm going to come in and kind of fade off some of the bottom of the image. So I'm going to add a layer mask. And we can also do so new layer mask, and reveal all is if you want it to start as white, and hide all is if you want it to start as black. So we're definitely going to start as white, come in with our black brush and fade that off. Same thing with the other image. We're going to do a layer, new layer mask, and reveal all. Come in with our black and just wisp away down there. And there we have it, whole new design. I can show you how to get even fancier with that. If you want to take the alternate designs and make them black and white and kind of look more like they're in the background versus the foreground, you can do all of that. But I just wanted to let you see how you can take the templates, combine them, and make magic happen. Of course, if you were sending this to us to print, you would turn off this layer, take this whole file, save it as you can save it as a PNG or a JPEG, and then you can upload this to the website, and we will print these for you. It's $13 to print it's 36 by 44 inches. And we send it to you rolled up, and then you can press it on your heat press. I pressed a extra large shirt. And it was 4 presses, so I ended up getting 2 presses this way, 16 by 20. So I used 2 presses on my 16 by 20 here for the sleeves, and then I used 2 presses down here for the bottom of the shirt, and that's per side. So you can do this with a 16 by 20 press. I have a video on that. Y'all can look that up. I made a whole video on how to take these big old prints and press them onto your shirts with a 16 by 20 press. So if y'all have any questions, I'm going to check on my live right now. See if y'all have any questions for me. Okay, so it looks like y'all are good. Y'all understand how to do everything so far. And I don't have any tough questions. And yes, oh, the circle fans. Absolutely. I didn't know if you were talking about the contour cut fans that people are making out of the hard stock or the cardstock paper, or even the circular fans. Of course, a circular fan, you would have to reduce this image quite a bit, but use your background to kind of fill it out, and you have a template for that as well. Come back and do this template for Affinity. This is what happens for the affinity templates. I'll place a link for it whenever I place the link for the Photoshop version. If someone purchases it, then I will make an affinity template. But just automatically off rip, I usually don't just make affinity templates because they aren't nearly as popular yet. But I will definitely make one for her if she orders it. Tiffany, that is a good question. So the template's working for children's size items and onesies. You will have to shrink this content. I provided a link that has all of the vapor templates for onesie sizes, for socks, all of that good stuff. I'm still working on my kind of one size fits all templates, and that's why I do, the guides here. So for all adult shirts, you can just do one template. So I haven't developed one of those yet for the youth shirts and for the toddler shirts and infant shirts. So before I tell you there's nothing that exists out there, I know there's something that exists. I have a link in the Innate Creatives Facebook group. So look for that. If you just look up, probably just search the word templates within the group, you'll see that I gave that Dropbox link. Okay, dope. Cool. Want to make sure I didn't miss any questions here. So once I get off of this live, I'll probably go ahead and update the link for that. So this is two different things. Like this particular all over design was already a template. And then what we did was we just updated it with a new graphic that can be used as a 13 by 19, the proud family member of a graduate. So excuse me, y'all. You have those two options there. I'm showing you how to get more creative and combine these things that you're purchasing, because I don't want you to feel like you have to have the template for every single look, which is probably bad on my part, because I should make you feel like you need a template for everything, right? But I really want you to understand how to use these tools and be empowered and get out there and make some money with this stuff. Okay, so I can't think of the young lady that this is, I think, her niece. So I'm sure she'll be hitting me up to get this template. But if I do feature your photos in any template or tutorial, all you have to do is hit me up and I will send you through the website to set up a login, and then that way I can send you the template. All right, loves. Well, I'm going to head out for right now, and I think I have one more that I'm going to do before I take a break. And then we'll have a session from 8 to 10 tonight, exciting, doing remembrance stuff. And it's really, stuff that I love to pour my heart into, and I'm sure you do too. And I have a lot of interest in those type of projects. So we'll be doing that tonight. But right now we're going to do, I think, another grad project after this. Is going to be Just Did It. It looks like the little Nike font. And that's a, cool kind of template setup too. Really, really simple to use. All right, guys, I will check y'all in a little bit. Love ya. Bye.